What's up, friends? Welcome to a bonus episode here on I.E In Friends. My name is Saul Gomez, and my co-host for the day, my really good friend Sydney.
Hi guys, I'm Cindy.
You guys seen her before. We've had her on previous episodes, and now we're gonna get a little spiritual. We're gonna open up our minds with today's guest, Nicky Scorpio.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for having
What's
me.
up,
Thank you,
bro?
thank you.
How you doing?
Good, yeah, just flew in last night and caught up in the 222
Yeah.
22
Oh, yeah.
thing that was going on. There's a lot of weird energy with my flight. We made it here though, flying high, deep breathing, staying away from humans as much as possible. You know the vibes.
Yeah, and it's super windy today, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Hella
Yeah,
windy.
yeah.
So you're very into. So let's talk about 222. I want to talk about like angel numbers. What do you think
Yeah.
about angel numbers?
For me, because I'm not the expert. I would say though, for me, what it comes down to, it's acknowledgement, right? Like
Okay.
you know that you're on your path, like you know that you're being guided, you know that you're being protected. Um, 5 is a big number right now that keeps on popping up in my life. You can look up when you start seeing numbers like 5, for example, is change, which I'm going through big changes right
Okay.
now. A lot of us are. 222 is actually new beginnings. So it's just basically from my interpretation, from my perspective, it's just more so to know like you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, it's like a confirmation. Every time I'm like thinking about something or debating, it's always like, okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
know the answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
like when you see that sign, that's
Yeah,
like,
it's like a sign, like, okay, like if I was thinking about something, debating between something, it's like, it's my push, like it's a yes.
it's
Yeah.
fire. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. Tell the people a little bit about yourself so they can
Got
like
you.
before we get into
Yeah,
this whole.
yeah. So now it's all good. So yeah, I'm a singer songwriter producer. I also do voiceover, and I started on my journey getting into spirituality. I was living in New York, and then I moved to Los Angeles. I'm originally from the Bay, and like the second day that I was here, I got a healing from a shaman, and I laughed and cried harder than I ever had. There was like black pins coming out of my skin and like bats. I know it sounds different, like flying out of my mouth, and I just remembered who I was when I was younger. I was
Okay.
really connected with the source and with God and everything, and went on a journey and was in a relationship at the time that was very when two Scorpios are in a long-term
Oh my
relationship,
God.
there needs to be, there needs to be like a
Yeah.
personality test. There needs to be like an exam, something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
double
yeah.
confirmation. You know
Like
what I'm
a
saying?
Yelp review for
Yeah,
people.
yeah. So that there was behind the scenes, there was a lot of like toxic behavior and mental, verbal, and physical abuse. And we don't put down that person. We don't shame her. It's just like that's where people come from sometimes and how they're raised. And for me, instead of being the victim about it, I started getting curious to think like, why is this person thinking this way? Why is this person reacting this way?
Yeah.
And so from there, plus on top of that, I had abandonment issues growing up. I lost my father when I was 9. There was divorce. I come from an LGBTQ plus family from the other side of the train track. So there was a lot of like abandonment and poverty mindsets, a lot of unlearning that I had to do. And
Okay.
so fast forward, I've just been on. I shot a video one day when I was on TikTok where I was just looking for friends, right? Like we all want friends right now. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are lonely, and so I just shot a video from a very raw space of if you're creative, if you're artistic, if you're spiritual in any way, let's be friends, and that popped off, and I saw the different comments from people, and I realized like people are miserable, and everybody's like, hi, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. I'm miserable. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine,
They're
but I
trying to
can't. I
mask
have to look
that.
attractive though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, I just started playing bigger into something that I was doing before when I was in Hollywood, where I can observe people, like I can read people, I can read people really well. I pick up on their body language, on their belief systems, and so like I'm very protective with the people that I love, and I just started doing that with people within my circle and
Yeah.
also within the entertainment industry, and started getting paid behind the scenes to do it, and just stepped up bigger. And it's been amazing. I have like 43,000 followers now on TikTok, and I coach people now, and it's emotional intelligence, which in simple terms is Feel your feelings, understand what they're telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feel guilty, right? Like if we get sad, like we'll be like, oh man, like what's wrong with me? Like I need to be happy. No, no, no. Like that sadness is healing. Like there's trauma that's going on.
Yeah.
So it's coming from a place of like understand what your emotions are telling you, feel that, then you can step up, then you can have all the greatness. You get better for your love, for your career, for everything. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, man. I'm just you know,
Yeah.
following the chasing the happiness, pursuit of happiness.
That's actually how I found Nicky, was through TikTok. He was on live, and everything he was saying I felt connected to. It's so rare to come across people that think like you, especially going into depth. And yeah, I just felt this instant connection with him. We're both Scorpios. I was like, I have to get him out here. We have to talk. Yeah, so I'm so excited that he's here on the show
Definitely.
today. So
Thank you. Yeah.
so much.
Thank you both. Yeah,
Actually,
absolutely.
I have like a huge topic I just thought of right now. So our audience is usually like we have like a Mexican American audience, and we grew up from like not expressing your feelings, you know. So like me right now, like I'm not that, I'm trying to open that door with being more emotional, being.
Got you.
But like for us, it's like if you cry, if you show emotions, you're weak.
I got you.
So how can we like just like help ourselves and fix that like generational curse?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say like this is right
Fire,
here
it's
because
just
like I
it.
love like the Mexican culture
That's
because like
dope.
I was born in California.
Yeah.
You know what another way of looking at it is that there are metaphysical reasons why people get sick. There's reasons why people have high blood pressure emotionally.
Yeah.
There's reasons why people get cancer, why people get like dis-ease is because they're telling themselves a story. So if you feel like you have to control your environment all the time because of trauma, that's going to lead to problems with your gut. If you feel unwanted and unloved, you can get things like cancer. My mom, thank God she's okay. Like she had cancer and she beat it. And that's because she's been really, really hard on herself. So, you know, I would say for the sake of healing, if you have family, and you care about the family, if you're not used to like focusing on yourself, do it for the people that love you. And also I would say, you know, that it takes courage to show tears, to tell people that you're not okay. And everybody's a hot mess right now to some degree, you know. And also, like I was talking with Cindy earlier, like one of the things that they never taught us with vulnerability, with being open, is actually the secret sauce. Because when you lead with that, when you talk with people, you immediately see if they're your people or not. So if you're looking for more loyalty, and if you want even to have like a better career, because people understand that. I learned that, the last part is I learned that from when I was on a yacht in LA talking to a man from Germany who was worth $330 million. And I'm talking to him about childhood trauma and all the rest of his VPs and whatever, like, oh my God, Johnson, how is he doing that? You know? And it's like they're stuck in the middle. They're jaded, they're bitter, they're frustrated. They're thinking, oh, it must be nice. I want that spot. Whereas he's grateful for what he has. So I would say for people that feel like you're stuck or feel like you have bad people in your life, you want to remove them, really like tell people who you are, really show people who you are and lead with that. And as soon as they roll their eyes or as soon as they cross their arms or they make fun of you, set that boundary and say, I'll love you from a distance. See you later, you know, and then you get blessed and you get leveled up that way.
Not
Yeah, I know that when it's people in your family, it's a little bit different because those are people you care about and you see the effect that it has on you growing up. Going like experiencing the suicide, it really us my grandpa committed suicide about 3 years ago, so that just like opened my eyes for me about men's mental health, and I seen the pattern passed down from my dad to my little brother. And it's like you said, it's a curse. It's like this thing passed from generation to generation. And I told myself, okay, like I'm gonna be the generation that breaks all that. I will be the one to teach my son that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to speak about your feelings. You know, like I also understand the place where my grandpa came from because he wasn't taught that. You know, you only do with what you know at the time. But it's a process. Like it's a process over time. You know, I feel like I've truly been able to starts with your inner child, and I feel like I've been able to get to people's inner child and heal it. Like I've seen it with my mom, doing it with my grandma, and it's a very like heartfelt feeling to watch them grow as a person. But then, you know, we also have those people where they don't want to face their demons. They
Yeah.
don't know anything about emotional intelligence, and that can affect someone's too. Like, for example, my dad, completely emotional and available. So, it's just a balance of life, but putting in that effort out there, it'll come back to you.
Hey, but you know what though? Like that's another part of this is understanding like we want so much because we've gone through what we've gone through. We want to help everybody. It's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big part of spirituality. Like some people, like there's so many layers to life and what people are going through, and that's the one thing to understand. Like I have to set not only boundaries with family, I have to set like spiritual boundaries because like there's a whole like if you are into the spiritual community in any way, shape, or form right now, like there's an ascension that's happening. Like there's a shift within the planet. Like there's a lot of different interesting things that are happening to people. And this was part of like what happened for me where I started fine tuning and being able to channel and connect. And like when I talk to my mom about it, my mom thinks she should get like the package family discount deal where she should get the gifts and abilities
Yeah,
too. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's not how life works. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? So in that sense, we have good intentions and we want to help people. We could always love ourselves more, and that radiates, and other people receive that, and we can speak kindness and we can give them, gentle nudges here and there to do this and that. However, it's important for us not to feel burnt out and exhausted by giving all of this love and
Yeah.
this energy to people who are still not even able to receive it because they have so
Yeah.
much trauma and they're just like numb to it.
Yeah.
That was
Boundaries.
that was one thing I want to ask. Can you get someone into spirituality? Because I have some friends who they're not into like spirituality at all, and I feel like their world is just gray. Like, oh, this happens because it's just happening to me because it's. But I'm like, bro, like you can control all of that.
Yeah.
Is there like a way to like open up a closed-minded person?
I would say just like leading by example. You know what I mean? Like people naturally, human behavior, people follow other people. Like it's a scientific fact. When other people see somebody doing something and they see other people like it, that they'll get more into it.
Mm.
So for me, what I've learned is that when I just really truly go on my journey and I'm not comparing myself, I'm not just trying to get to the end point, that I'm checking in with myself and doing the work and being aware that other people see me, and then they start to ask questions, and naturally like it will happen. I would say again, like what I said earlier, is that there's a balance within it because we want to help people out because we know them, because we've seen what they've gone through. At the same time though, some people are meant to get it at different times. Like when I
Yeah.
was younger, I was very angry at God because God took my dad. God was the reason why we were put. That was the story that I was telling
Yeah, yeah.
myself. You know what I'm saying? And so I think really right now what it comes down to is we can get people to love themselves more by just us being more open and us being more connected with our emotions and just saying like, yo, like you don't have to hold this inside. Like you don't have to be angry right now. Like I know you've gone through it. Like like be that friend that opens up the curtains and opens up the door that says like
Yeah.
go outside. Like I know
Yeah.
that you're hurting right now. Like and maybe even to be even more of like, I know that this is going to be uncomfortable for you. I know that you don't want to talk about this. You're going to tell me that you're fine because you're used
Mm.
to taking care of people. However, I see you. I
Uh,
care about you,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like there's more, and this moment's going to pass for you, and you might not want to talk to people. However, like it'll be better for you down the road. You will have a happier life.
Hmm.
Just let me know what's going on, bro, or sister or whatever. Like because like I've been there. I've gone through
Yeah.
there, and the last part is that again, that's where you lead by example. That's where we tell people like, this is what I've gone through, this is what I went through, and this is what I overcame. And then they're like, oh, you're going through something too? Like,
No,
oh,
okay. So,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they see like inspiration through your growth.
Yep.
That's really dope. What about like let's get into childhood trauma. So how does someone deal with childhood trauma? Because I feel like I have childhood trauma to an extent. Like there's some
Yeah.
like a big event, but I feel like I can just maybe just ignore it, and it does. I feel like it doesn't bother me if I ignore it. You know?
Right. I would say I did a lot of inner work for childhood trauma. Um Hypnosis can be really good. There's a woman named Marissa Peer who does hypnosis. She has a program called I Am Enough that I did. And what was cool about that is, and you can do this in meditation too, is that you go back to your childhood, like you go back to your room where you lived in and you make it real. With all of this kind of work, it's really important that you make it like you see the colors,
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
like what outfit are you wearing and how old are you. For me, it was 9 years old, right? And you go back, and it's not just one and done. It takes time, it takes layers, that you go back to that younger version of yourself. And this was a message I got recently that I thought was really powerful, is let yourself know that those things that happened to you, it was a misinterpretation.
Wow.
So for example, right, like when there's divorce, we think, oh, this person didn't love us, and that they left, and that was mean, and it hurt our feelings, and all these different, there's anger, all of that. They have trauma,
Hmm.
right? They have stuff going on. They don't know how to communicate. So that's why they operate the way that they do. They were hurting inside. They love
Yeah.
us in the same way. If we have frustration towards our parents, regardless of our of how we grew up, they have pain, they have trauma, and like you were saying earlier with their grandfather, like they don't know how to express it in that way.
Yeah.
They still were like, I know pain and I want to make and create love, right? So what's the new interpretation on when there was death? It was their time to go. You're not, it doesn't matter that you're not like the white picket fence mom and dad, whatever. Like there is a reason. Like it's not cheesy to say everything happens for a reason,
Hmm.
So you go back to those moments when you have time for yourself, and then you tell yourself a new story, right? And then you really see that younger version of you getting that. Another thing that you can do is, if you ever feel anxiety or you feel frustration or something like that, or depression, remember moments in your life where people complimented you, where people flirted with you, where you
Hmm.
made a good amount of money, where something great happened, where you won something. And remember those moments. And it's almost like you're going to court, where you're showing yourself, like, you think that you're in love right now. Look at all these examples of all these moments in your life where people loved you, where people acknowledged you, where people thought that you were amazing. So another thing you can do is shamanism. I have a friend actually in Los Angeles who's amazing, Shaman Durek, and Durek. He's also a Scorpio too, and
Are
he's
you
like,
serious?
yeah, and he's no. I actually got him on TikTok. I'm like, you need to get your Scorpio, but like on TikTok, people want to do the work. Instagram's like fire emoji, fire
Yeah,
emoji,
yeah,
fire
yeah,
emoji. I'm like, no, like people want to do the work. Shamanism can be really powerful,
I want to get
and
into that.
yeah, I've done tons of healing, because they connect, and for people who are skeptics, it is of God. It is in the righteous
yeah.
path. Um, that really, what I would say with that journey is, yeah, reinterpret what you've gone through. Um, I would say that for me, another thing that really helped with my childhood trauma was I started being curious about my reactions when people would have conversations with me where I would feel insecure or something like that, that I understood. Oh, like for example, when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was in the Hidden Hills, right?
Hmm.
Like next to like J Lo and Dr. Dre's house and all of that, like through my ex's family friend,
Hmm.
and I was there. And I was like, this is so weird that I feel so insecure right now, because this is like the whole game that I've talked about. Like, this
Yeah,
is my
yeah.
energy, these are my people. And I realized, oh, that's something from my childhood where I learned that I had to struggle to be more real, or
Ah,
that I have
got
to
you.
work hard in order to be a real person, or I don't deserve this or
Yeah,
something
like
like that. So
imposter syndrome.
yeah, yeah,
Those.
exactly,
Yeah.
Right.
exactly, right. So it's really, at the end of the day, what keeps me going,
Hmm.
is I lead with curiosity. Like I might overreact, I might get frustrated, I might get defensive. However, I can go back to those moments and say, okay, what's the lesson there? Why did I go to that place? What are other interpretations,
Yeah.
right? And then I tell myself, oh, I'm loved, and I fill myself up with that, and step out of that three-dimensional world, and I'm like, this is my reality, this is my truth. Remember who I am, and I'm able to let it go. So it's
Definitely.
it's a process. People just want to like rush and get there, and just enjoy the ride, man. Like, take your time.
Yeah. Going back to the imposter syndrome, because I think that's huge, especially now. Like, I feel like in social media world, how people make it to the top pretty quick, and you know how like we see like all these celebrities, these rappers, everyone saying like, "Oh, I struggled, I grind, I made it to the top because I put in hard work." But sometimes people just make it there just because they're in the right area, in the right time,
Right,
it's the right thing, and they start thinking like they don't deserve it.
right,
But it's like you got put there for a reason.
right.
And I always tell like people that like imposter syndrome for me is just like I don't believe in it. Well, I mean it is a real thing, but I tell people like you got put there for a reason. Like it's not, don't discredit your work and like the stuff you did just because someone worked incredibly hard. It's just that was the situation they got put in and that's what they had to grind through. You got put in this situation. So I mean, with comes to imposter syndrome, like just
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's so interesting, but that makes total sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
I felt imposter syndrome before,
Yeah.
and it's like a bitch. It's like, yo, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to come to realization, like, yeah, like I got put in this situation, I made the best out of it, and anyone else in that situation would have made the best out of it and make those same success type things, you know?
But like people see us and we try to hide certain parts of ourselves. And that's the one thing that I learned is that like we try to present ourselves with this image of who we are, how people should see us. And people see us, like people see our blind spots, you know, and like you were talking about just a second ago, it's important for us to tell ourselves that we deserve it. Like with you all, like having me here, you know, like I was talking to people that I know and I care about, and they go to this weird place. And I'm like, no, I've been busting my butt. Like I've been putting in the work. Like I questioned my existence. I was in Hollywood when my car got repossessed and I didn't have money. My whole world got turned upside down. And I looked at that train and I was like, if I took 3 steps forward, this would all go away and be over. You weren't there. You didn't want to give me nurturing. You know what I'm saying? So I deserve this. Like I have now the understanding that when I show the world who I am, that the world sees me, that when I speak up, the world listens. And that's the thing is that like people think that when you get to this certain platform or when you hit a certain place that everything's good. No, now more people are telling me, oh, you should be spiritual in this way. I'm more spiritual than you. Congratulations.
Yeah, it gets worse.
You know, right. So that's where you have to really come from that place. And I started telling people on my live streams and as much as I can to tell yourself, like, if you really want to level up and reclaim all your power, just start telling yourself every choice I make is the right one. It's simple. Because you fall down and then you'll start to be insecure. Like, nope, every choice I make is the right one. That's good. That's a new dance move. That's called the clumsy. We all do that. You know what I'm saying? So when you operate from that place, and instead of expecting for people to understand what you're going through, learning how to communicate at the same time, I expect when I go into rooms and I visualize other people. I do a lot of visualization. I do a lot of like psyching out my subconscious mind from that trauma space to say like, I visualize other people being like, oh my God, it's him. Like, look at how great his energy is. Like, look, it's him. Or if I get social anxiety, I visualize everybody, even in the grocery store, like, oh wow, we just paid tickets to see him. There he is. Like, oh wow, he's so amazing. And that they understand every word that I say is gonna have an impact. So doing stuff like that can get you to a better place instead of being caught up in that like I should be. And women, you know, women get hustled the hardest too. Like women get hustled so hard, like that you have to be this way and that way, and that you have to be like, you have like on TikTok, there's a beauty mode where you look like a 5-year-old with Vaseline. Stop, like stop that nonsense. That. You know that that you always have to be better. You always have to be this way. Like here's the new trend. Everybody's hitting their head on the wall and saying, ouch. No, really call a doctor. No, ouch. This isn't a trend. Ouch. And they're getting 1 million views. Do it, you know? So that's where we come from a space of, like you were talking about earlier, like I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. And I'm going to go on my path. I'm not going to compare myself to anybody. And like, you know, like with what you have, like you're a trendsetter, you pave your own lane, like you do your own thing. And then all those same people who are telling you to change are like, oh, congratulations. Good job. Wow. This is so amazing. What a great idea. Like, wow, thank God I didn't listen to you.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's this wonderful quote. It's like, if I'm listening to your advice, this is like for people when you're like doing it. And then someone who's like, I'll just say the quote. It's like, if I listen to your advice, I'm making your mistakes.
Wow.
So I was like, that ever since I hit that, I was like, then because once you make it to like a certain like pedestal, everyone wants to put in their like 2 cents. Like, oh, you should do this. You should do this. You should do that. And it's like, I mean, you got to this pedestal for a reason, you know?
Exactly. I felt like every time I wanted to do something, everybody said, no, Cindy, you should do this. And I did everything I said I was going to do. And now they're like, oh my God, how'd you do it?
Right.
You know, it's crazy.
It's literally paving your own way. And it's amazing. And then you congratulate yourself even more. Like I did it. Like, even though like I had all these people telling me do this, I stuck with my true gut, my true intuition. And like, I did it, which is pretty dope. I want to get into the mental health in the entertainment industry, because I know that's a huge thing. What do you guys think about, especially now, because social media makes it even worse, because like everything's just so flashy and everything. It looks on social media, you put like everything's going great, but behind the scenes, it's like a whole different thing. And how do you what do you guys think about all that stuff? Like, what do you like? What would you say?
Okay, yeah. So that's one of the things that we're actually changing right now. That's why I tell people when I do I try diligently to stream every single day, and I tell people like I want to change the whole conversation within the entertainment industry because like when my mom had cancer, when I talked to people that were in the entertainment industry that I was making money with, that my mom had cancer and I needed a friend, they were like, "Oh, you can't talk about that. We have our own stuff going
Yeah,
on."
I
I'm
gotta
like,
do some,
"Word?
make some money.
Okay, I
Yeah,
got you. Now I'm gonna 10 times talk about it with the megaphone now. And I'm gonna turn up the volume
yeah,
because
yeah.
like I'm human and my emotions are valid. You know, that there's this thing in Hollywood where you always have to like hurry up and wait, show up and wait, like just it doesn't drive all the way across to go to the audition and just be attractive, be beautiful, put on the smiley face, blah, blah, blah. And then the people who are booking the gigs for people, maybe they like you, maybe they have sleazy thoughts or whatever, maybe like you have to do something a certain way because they're having a bad day and you're just a human being who's just a creative person, just an artist just wanting to express himself.
Yeah.
So for me, and I learned this when I was in Hollywood, I was talking to who was at the time the CMO of Viacom, which is like MTV, VH1 and all of that. I was talking with him about these kind of conversations and he got it. And that was another, affirmation for me of like I really need to like have these conversations because you go to Hollywood parties, you go to mansion parties and everybody's like, "Oh my God, I love you. What do you do?" But they don't want to know what you're about, who you are. They don't
Yeah,
care. They don't
like how you
care.
got there. They just how they can help themselves or
Yeah.
like type thing.
Right.
How
So
crazy to help
Yeah,
them.
yes,
exactly.
so
Yeah.
it's desperation. So for me, like I hung out with the influencers. I've seen them behind the scenes. I've been to Southampton. Like I've hung out with the millionaires. I know a man in New Jersey who's like the Great Gatsby. Okay, and people behind the scenes are either like happy or they're miserable. Like and that's why I tell people, especially for people that are just like, oh, I just want to be famous. Like I just want to be rich. Like love yourself first. Like get good people around
Yeah.
you, like do the work like we're talking about. Love yourself first because otherwise you're going to get around these terrible
Oh
people
yeah.
that are incredibly insecure, that just like the way that you present yourself, that don't want to hear about what you're going through, that don't even have the same beliefs as you. So what we're doing now is leading with vulnerability to say like I can find a way when I go into a networking situation because everything's aligned. Who I am is why I am, is what I am, is where I am.
Yeah.
So that if people cross their arms or if they roll their eyes or if they step away for a second, I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
8 billion other people in the world. Like, oh, you want to put me on the list? You want to blackball me? Cool. I'll pull out my cell phone. Now I got a TV show that way. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good, So it's really about all of us out there that are entertainers and they're creative people. Encourage your people and lead with saying like this is who I really am and tell your story and encourage other people because people will follow you when they see that, and we give other people permission to be themselves. What a concept.
No, yeah. I think that's a also because I know there's a bunch of people that want to get into the entertainment industry, but like you said, you have to love yourself first because this entertainment industry is just like a chew you out, spit you out.
Yeah.
Once they're
Right.
like done with you, like oh you don't fit our image, boom, and they think there's something wrong with you, but it's
Right.
really it's just that they just always want the freshest, newest person.
Right.
So when you do get into entertainment industry, it's literally love yourself first and know that it's nothing's wrong with you. It's always
Right.
yeah, it's always them. Yeah, literally know your worth.
Well, that's like all the artists that have overdosed, bro.
Yeah.
People just want to be in the spotlight and that's actually what got me into what I do now. Is I would go to these parties and go to these events and I'm like, "Hey, did you realize like when you said this person did that?" Or like when you were telling people who you really are, that like people walked away for a
Yeah.
second and these are
Roll
like
their
your
eyes or
people.
something, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really like, that we need to be 100% tuned in right now more than ever because the world is in the state that it is, to say like I tell people, like I've learned this through and through. If you don't like me, you don't like a part of yourself. Like if you're judging me, you're judging yourself. If you're being hateful to me, you're being hateful to yourself 10,000 times more. So like I'm going to go on my journey and I'm going to make sure, even if I have to be solo, like I'm going to be good with that because I don't want people around me that just see me right now in this moment and they're like, "Oh, you're this way and that way and you have these followers and this and that." And I just no, like I want people who are going to call me out and be like, "Yo, you're being a jerk right now," or like
Yeah.
you overreacted, or like that wasn't nice. Like I'm human and that happens. Like I want people on that level that like are true, that are authentic, that really see me, so that I can, stay in a good place, instead of being around all these people, all these labels, and all these people that just, like, you get replaced if you talk about mental health.
Yeah,
Like,
literally. Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. They just want someone perfect that can just keep the ball rolling.
This topic is like it's super huge to me because I would say I started getting into that industry young. I would say like 18, and even before that I was doing pageants. So I've always been in that space, and at first like it was all great. Like I loved it. It was like the best thing ever, right? And then like I really started to see how it really is, and even just not too long ago, I kind of wanted to shift my modeling to actress, right? I wanted to grow my talents, and so quickly I learned like the labeling that comes with acting. You really look at the actresses in the industry, Marilyn Monroe and Megan Fox. All of these women got exploited,
Oh yeah.
taken advantage of. Like you guys don't even know. Like I've been around Hollywood, and I know like what really goes down behind closed doors, and women are just constantly being taken advantage of. Like you said,
Yeah.
hustled of, and it has scared me. So I feel like I definitely have to be careful with it, but it's crazy. It's not talked about enough.
Mhm.
It's full of like materialistic things that
Yeah.
don't even matter. I mean, I hear the words that come out of like these influencers' mouths, like, "Oh, he doesn't have X amount of followers. I'm not going to hang out with him."
That's so.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
Like, you're
literally.
basing your people environment off of numbers, off of things that don't
That's not even real.
matter.
Yeah.
It's not even real. So that's how I knew, like, oh my God, I'm nothing like you guys. And honestly, like, it really gave me an identity crisis, you guys. Like, I broke down completely because I was like, oh my God. I looked at my Instagram and I was like, Sydney, what have you created? Like, people have these assumptions about you, these labels about you. And I wasn't attracting the type of people that I wanted in my life. And it was like, it was like tremendous to my soul. I'm very genuine, and I only like to surround myself with people that are down to earth.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was like putting something out there that was being misinterpreted, but like I got through that, and I was like, no, like I'm gonna be the one to change the game. Like
Yeah.
I can still look like this, but still be this too at the same time. I don't know why there's like this stigma that like beautiful women, or it has such a bad name to
Yeah.
it. And no, like I'm changing that. Like it's not like that. It's not gonna be like that. Like I'm gonna be the one to be
break that.
different.
Yeah.
Word.
That's dope as
That's
fuck.
dope. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's why you went on that journey, though, because you could help other people go through that. Like, we go through what we go through, so that we know what it's like. We can connect with those people to say, like, you're used to, and it's interesting because a lot of the people that I've been talking to since I've been doing this since October is like a lot of women deal with like narcissists and stuff like that, and it's like you have to put on this presentation even if like there's a comet falling from planet Earth, and it's like, okay, it's over for us, but we have to look moisturized and attractive.
Yeah.
Like, no, come on, man. Like, so that's dope that that you're able to do that, because
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
I don't think guys, I think guys kind of know, like I saw in a relationship, like firsthand, that you can be so smart, you can be so tuned in, and then you still get put in this category, in this box, and it's like, no, like I'm just, again, like, you're just a creative person that has good intentions, and people go to where they go to. That's
Yeah.
why we need to really, like, stand up and say who we are.
Yeah, I like that message you said, how you're trying to break that. And I feel, because I feel like a lot of women in that industry, I feel like they're brainwashed. Like, oh, I'll do this for free. I got to do this so I can be in it.
Desperate.
Yeah, they're desperate to be in that limelight. And then so when people see that, and especially like these men that run these industries, they want to take advantage of that.
Right.
So like, we're going to use this for free, or you want this, well, you got to do this.
Right.
And then so for you as a beautiful woman standing up and saying all these things, it like inspires other women for sure who are in that industry.
I remember being in a place and doing things that I didn't want to do because I had to convince myself that like this is how it is, and this is what I have to do. And I had gotten completely brainwashed, and once it was over, I was just like, and I started growing, I started really being out there. I was like, oh my God, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't have to be this way. You don't have to be how people tell you to be. Like, this is your life. it's crazy because the brainwashing is like totally real. And I consider myself like a very strong-minded person. So for me to be put in a place where I'm questioning myself, that's a lot. But yeah, I just want like all the younger girls and just girls in general to know that like you do not have to do anything you don't want to do.
That's great.
Word.
Yeah, it's great. I wanna we're talking about like the whole 222s and stuff, and I want to get into coincidences because recently, well, now full circle moments and coincidences have been happening a lot in my life right now, and the biggest one, which is crazy, and I'm not even, I just like saying this story because it's the craziest coincidence, and I want to see what you think about it, and so it's about I think a couple months ago. Well, let's say okay, so last year, 2 years ago. I broke up with my ex like around like June-ish. And then the following year, which was last year, like I haven't talked to her in a year or anything. And then I haven't gone out on a date. I haven't done anything like with another girl. And then just randomly, I told my friends like, "Yo, let's go have a bonfire at the beach." And they're like, "Yeah, bro, let's all do it." And it's random because my friends like we usually have to plan shit out and it never works out. So it's like seven of my friends and we're like, "Yeah, let's go to the beach." We all go to the beach. It was super spontaneous. Like I said it like an hour before, and now we're at the beach, and then we're just chilling there. And then I invited this girl that I was talking to. I wasn't really talking to, but she was cool from Instagram. I was like, "Yo, you trying to pull up to the beach?" And then she was like super spontaneous. She was like, "I've never met her before," and she was like, "Yeah, I'm down." So we go to the beach. We're like an hour and 30 minutes away from the beach, and like my ex is like, I met her over here. And then so we're out there, we're having a great time, and then now we're like, "Yo, let's go to a bar." We're like, "Oh hell yeah!" And so we all just go to a bar randomly, and then literally, as soon as like I'm walking in, like my ex that I've never seen in like a whole year or even heard of or anything, she's literally walking my direction as I'm entering the bar. I'm like, what the fuck? And the craziest part of that is that they have the same name.
Wow.
What are you doing talking to girls with
Bro,
the same name?
it just happened, right? It just
We
happened.
all have our preferences.
Yeah,
Sam.
yeah.
Come on.
But I thought that shit was crazy because it was literally like a year after we broke up. I haven't
Yeah.
seen her in a year. It was super spontaneous, like an hour and 40 minutes out. She lives over here. And then the same name.
Well, signs are real.
Yeah.
Word.
So what does that mean? By the way, I'm not sprung up on my ex. I just thought that shit was sick. I just
Nah,
thought it
so-
was an
yeah.
interesting story. But
Nah,
I was
I
like,
got
that's a
you.
huge ass coincidence.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, for me, like what I get from those moments, I just keep acknowledging myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I feel like the higher power, whatever it is you believe in, angels and all that, like the more you acknowledge it and the more that you show that you're grateful, the more that the signs happen really so we can protect ourselves and really stay in a good place. You know, like I've had a lot of different stuff that's very synchronistic. So even like coming here, like I was saying, before the show that like I had three different flights that were all like rescheduled or delayed. And for me, I don't know the moving pieces behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
However, I know I am protected because I keep on acknowledging it.
Yeah.
I would just say it's another sign of like you're more powerful than you've been taught, bro. Like you're more powerful than you originally knew because we don't have the information, we don't have the mentors. That's where it helps for us to just say, okay, like I expect for greatness, and we can use like affirmations of speaking things into existence. And again, what's really important right now is, and how we can level up is, the more that you acknowledge what you're capable of and what you can do on a small scale and on a big scale.
Yeah.
When you get around those other people, you're like, oh, it doesn't feel good. I don't like that. I don't want that anymore. And you naturally can like shift away from all of that. I just think that you might be more spiritual and more tuned in than you realize. And that's the exciting thing, to go on that journey and to not fall for parents or relatives or other people saying, oh, that's weird or that's
yeah.
dumb or that's wrong. Like, yeah, okay, stay angry over there. Like you don't know what you're doing. Stay angry. Keep telling me to smile more. By the way, stop telling introverts to smile more.
Thank you.
Stop it. Oh
I'll
man.
literally bark at you.
Stop it. You smile more. Go do some therapy.
Yeah,
Love yourself.
yeah.
Just acknowledge yourself more and more and just go on your journey for yourself. Don't compare yourself to anybody else, and also don't compare yourself to yourself. Like don't look back and think like, oh man, like when I was this age, I was killing it. Now I'm here. Like, no, bro, I have manifested so much greatness from when everything in my life was like, whoosh, got taken away. And I was like, all right, I got here regardless of everybody else's behavior. I accepted everything. I made every single choice and every single decision. That's where I got that every choice I make is the right one. And everywhere I go, I'm going to do anything I can to make sure everybody who meets me is like, I love your energy,
Yeah,
you know? And then that way I get all my power, all my fire back, and I'm not looking for validation from
for
people.
sure. Yeah, I like how you said there's because I've been through this situation where like where I look back at myself and I compare to myself like, dang, bro, I was doing better back then. But then I realized like, so I used to be a YouTuber and I was doing really good as a YouTuber. And then like it just fell off and I lost it all and I had to go back to work and all that shit. And I was like, damn, bro, like I really had it all and I was super depressed because I just kept looking back. I was like, bro, I had that. Like, what the hell? And then like I switched to this change where I'm like, if I did it once, I can do it again. So that's
Right.
when I hit it. I was like, you know what? I did it once. Let's do it again, but let's make it better.
That's
And
dope.
then so that's why when you said like you can't be looking back at yourself because it's crazy how like we compare ourselves to other people, and then so we just ignore the part where we compare ourselves to
Right,
ourselves.
right.
And I think
Yeah.
that's huge. And just because you're comparing yourself to yourself doesn't mean it's not toxic. Like that shit's still toxic because
Yeah.
it's a whole different person back then than you are now.
Right. Because there's so many moving pieces. You don't
Yeah.
know what's going on and what's being designed for you. And again, like it's character building. Like I
Yeah.
can get in front of anybody right now and if they don't like me, they don't like themselves, period. Like and I can, stay in a good place that way. So yeah, we never know. And that's a big thing again with social media and with influencers is that people are always comparing themselves and because I was raised by women, like I'm a big advocate to like I want to really promote like natural that people can just love themselves naturally. It's fun to dress up. It's fun to
Yeah.
do all this sparkle, all of that. That's great. That's playtime. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with it. With this whole conversation that with comparison that in social media and in society that we do that, and that's why I tell people now, especially because I've been in Hollywood, because I've seen behind the scenes of like you're looking at somebody else. Here's a dope story actually for you. In 2016, I actually drove with Uber.
Mhm.
And I did the daytime stuff and I have like the classical music going. It was like Uber Spa, like it was a whole vibe, right? And I picked up this woman who cleaned homes and I picked her up in Bel Air. And she was talking with me and she said, um, the man that I cleaned the home for, he's so sad. He was crying. And she asked him why, and he said, because I have a Ferrari and the Ferrari's collecting dust and I have no friends. I have no
Mhm.
friends to drive around in this car. And people might laugh and say, oh, poor little rich person. But it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, emotionally, like that sucks. Like that's terrible to feel alone like that. So like that's why I tell people, like, if you know your roots, if you know your culture, if you have your people, your tribe, like whatever that looks like, even if you have to build your own family and if your whole family is like toxic, whatever, just having good people around you will give you a better life because I'm
Mhm.
telling you, like I have met people that are millionaires beyond millionaires, and some people are cool and loving and happy, and there are others that are just angry and have to like always get people drunk and like just to see if they're going to show their true colors and all this like toxic behavior because they refuse to go internally. So
Yeah.
that's where, like, to your point with what you're doing and what you're building, you can be a voice and be an advocate to help other people that are on YouTube or people that are artists and creative in any way, shape, or form to say, like, keep going and don't get caught up in the,
The
like yeah, up in there. That's the
Yeah,
worst place
yeah.
to be.
That's for sure. I feel like a lot of social media influencers, a lot of just people in the industry, they get caught up in their head. And that's so once like they lose that momentum, it's a downward spiral for them.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that shit's ooh, super tough. I want to get into so you said you're speaking about shamans earlier. Have you ever done like ayahuasca?
I have.
Yeah?
I did a few times. By the way, not a doctor, and if you have severe mental health issues, I was just getting in an argument with somebody on TikTok about this. Like everybody should do ayahuasca. Like there's literally a documentary where they do research, and if you have like schizophrenia or like bipolar, like it could be lethal for you.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
So what I'm saying is do your own research. Okay. If you are called to it, don't do it because Chad down the street knows a friend who took like YouTube
Yeah,
like
yeah,
like
yeah.
videos like I'm a shaman and I got some ayahuasca and I went like no, like kick it with the real shaman. Like I was in Los Angeles, however the shaman was from South Africa, and got it from South Africa and brought it over here, and they were really intelligent, educated, creative people, And basically what I tell people is that was like 30 years of therapy in an 8-hour session. Like I reversed the whole timeline. Like I went back to the most traumatic part of my childhood, and I had a whole conversation with all the people that were involved, and I corrected that. And I felt that, bro. Like I felt those emotions change and release. So that's and there's a documentary on Netflix. It's called, oh God, I was just watching this too. I was just talking about I think it's called Unwell.
There's a retreat in Brazil that I've been wanting to go to, that you do like this 10-day retreat with ayahuasca with a guide and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that. I know I'm not ready now mentally, which is okay,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
admitting to that, but in the future, I'm planning on it.
Definitely take your time and enjoy the process. There's like a diet that you're supposed to do. You need to be in a specific place. It's not like a rush thing. But yeah, there's a documentary called Unwell on Netflix. You can check out and get more information about it. I understood from everybody's perspectives. Like, for example, in that relationship that I was in, I heard everything that she was saying from an outside perspective. I saw people in my life that were very protective of me, that I had met them before in another lifetime.
Yeah.
That I had so many different understandings of things that from a human standpoint were very complicated or challenging to understand. So and plus health benefits. Like I had eczema. The eczema went away because it's antifungal. Like it can have like healing properties. Again though, not everybody's meant for it, and sometimes people think it's like a cool trendy thing
Like a
to
hippie
do.
thing, yeah.
And like you need to really be in the space of like you need to be able to see yourself when you do ayahuasca, because some people don't want to see themselves.
You need to
Yeah.
respect these psychedelics like mushrooms and all that. I think that if you go into it very carelessly, it will come back to you.
Yeah.
See, I've never done psychedelics. I want to try shrooms for like just to see what it is. But I feel like I'm not. Well, I feel like I'm ready, but I fear the consequence, because I hear like you see like you like start crying and stuff, and then I'm like that type of person, like, bro, I don't like crying, I don't cry at the front. So I was like, I don't even want to touch into that, but it's something I'm very interested in.
If you microdose, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Microdosing. They actually legalized shrooms and ayahuasca in the Bay Area.
Oh, really?
In Oregon too.
Shout out to Oakland.
We out to the Bay.
Where I'm from. But yeah, like, and I would say to you that, past the tears, like I get to the point now, like if I cry from any kind of trauma, like I laugh after that. Like we need to in society understand that like there's so much healing that comes from those tears, that comes from this stuff, because you don't even see like the way, like for example, if you have abandonment issues, bro, like if somebody in your life died and you felt like I'm unloved, I'm alone, that shows up in business. That's why we play small in the business world, because we're like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Now I'm like, nope, like if you don't hire me for the gig or whatever, like thank goodness, like a better one's coming, So like psychedelics can tap into places that, doctors can't go to, therapists can't go to, like, that you can see there's so much more to us than meets the eye. And again, a lot of this stuff is like deeply, deeply impacted, and we've tried to like block it away and just say like, no, I just got to be positive. Like, no, like that's like mildew in your home. Like you gotta clean yourself out so that you get clarity around like, oh wow, like look at these choices that I'm making. Look at these people that I'm hanging out with. Like, what am I doing right now? Like, I'm way more powerful than this.
Definitely.
It's medicine, honestly. This stuff has been around for thousands of years. Like I study this. It's been around, and the fact that this stuff comes from Earth, like everything we need here, Mother Earth gives to us, and it's never going to be to the point where doctors, like Western medicine, it's money.
Yeah.
It's all
Right.
about money, so they don't fix the problem. They give you things to just hide it. So I think when you really study it and do your research, it's crazy.
You know what's wild is they actually they talked to some people. I think it was in Peru. Anyway, they talked to people who do ceremonies, and they said like, how was ayahuasca created? And they said we once upon a time we talked to the plants.
Yeah. Did you know that when you cut a plant, it screams?
Oh, what the
Yeah, I
heck?
heard
Yeah,
that.
like
I heard
it's
that.
That's
crazy.
That's like
Sad.
I'm gonna go water my plants.
It's the circle.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
It's the
I
Lion
think
King, bro.
we were definitely connected to more of ourselves and like Earth back then. You know, I think nowadays we got totally misled by technology, social media, and things that just don't matter. Ego.
Capitalism.
Yeah, there you go. But I love the Western just because of the diversity in it. But I think we have, you know, we have forgotten what truly matters, and that all comes from like, you know, ancient wisdom,
Yeah.
like talking about Mesopotamia and like,
Yeah.
you know, all that stuff.
It's interesting though because we're actually going backwards and forwards at the same time. So, for example, in the tech world in San Francisco, this is like a few years back that they're doing stuff for levitation with sound frequencies, and it's the
Okay.
same sound frequencies that resonate in the pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah.
So we're actually going into that's what the whole like 5D. If you've ever heard about like 5D consciousness and stuff like that, we're bringing all of this into the mainstream. That's why we hear people saying like, "Oh, it's a vibe. It's a vibe." What's a vibe? Vibration.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going more into, and that's what's fascinating for me to watch the influencers and people that I've been associated that are acquaintances with, because they're like, I can't show people that I'm jet setting all the time. Like, what's going on? Like, I can't tell people that like I have this like happy, unhappy, perfect life or whatever anymore. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, what's going on? That we're leading with a more intuitive based energy, and we have finally gotten to the place where like people don't want to hear about your rented Lambos, and people don't want to see all of that. Like, people want to be able to say like, I'm going through some stuff and I'm tired and I need to like express myself and be around my people so I can like be myself more. So there's hope. And if you turn off the news and if you look, you know, what's going on in science and technology, like there's so many amazing, that's my whole focus for me. Like, my intention, what I'm doing is instead of showing people like a rented Lamborghini, like there's a guy on TikTok who inspired me. His account is Murph's Life, MURPHS Life. And what he does, his followers will donate like $1 or $2, and then he'll raise like $30,000, and he'll go to places, Latin America, overseas, and he'll give them like Wi-Fi. He'll give gifts for the kids. They're like 10 years old. They've never had gifts, like clothes, education, and stuff like that. So that's my intention, is to say, instead of like, look at this fake rented lifestyle, to say like, this is what we can do. Like how Akon gave people solar power. Yep, exactly. So we can do more. We're capable of more, and it's happening, and it's exciting. So it requires time, because planet Earth is in couples therapy right now. We need to see, you're going through some stuff right now. Okay, I got you. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I do resonate with all of that. It's insane. And I feel like the world isn't black and white like everyone says it is. Like, oh, this happened because of this and this. But I feel like the world is like a very magical and spiritual place where we have to like you said, like getting like how we used to talk to the plants.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a huge thing. Like, I feel like we can learn so much from people. And even like I heard elephants are very smart, and they even like they pray to the moon or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I feel like we just been brainwashed to thinking like everything's black and white. But I feel like with psychedelics kind of goes
the gray area.
Yeah, it takes us back to like how things used to be and how we used to see the world.
Definitely.
And they're just trying to cut that off from us.
Yeah.
It's a pretty crazy
I agree.
shit. So I was watching one of your TikToks where you said you can I think it's believed the gateway process, the meditation, where you said you can you age younger, your teeth get whiter, your skin clears up.
All that.
Can we get a little bit more into that?
What?
So there's documents. This was declassified by our lovely government. It's the greatest gift they've ever given us. It's called the Gateway Process. And you if you go online, if you go into Google and you type in Gateway Process and you read the actual documents, our government is talking about using energy wands, like zap, 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 like when you were like 5 years old playing like I'm a magician, or like I'm a pretty princess or whatever with my wand, or whatever your game was. That it's teaching you how to have out-of-body experiences, how to work with energy in different ways. So when I was in the Bay Area taking care of my mom, Scorpios are known to be intense. I was binge listening to it, and basically there's this thing where you work with your breath, where you charge yourself up, because we know that we're water. A lot of people don't realize we're electricity. Also, we have
Yeah.
like electricity within us. So breath work is really powerful because you can charge yourself up, and they didn't teach this in the meditation. However, I realized, because I'm tuned in, that I can take that energy and I can focus it on different places. So I connect with the 5-year-old version of Nicky, because 5-year-old Nicky believed anything. Like if you tell him there's lava on the floor, he's like, "What are you doing? Why are your feet on the floor?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're gonna die. Like it's over for you." You know. So I was visualizing him saying, "Look, your hair is light like mine. Your hair is blonde like mine. Your skin is healthy like mine. Your teeth are healthy like mine. Look, everybody loves your smile." I hated my smile. I had severe trauma around all of that. That, I was connecting with that belief system, and actually, for me, what I started doing is, and you can do this in your meditations when you're manifesting, I'm visualizing other people looking at me, and they're like, "Wow, like look at how amazing that is,"
Yeah.
and then emotionally connecting with that. So that meditation teaches you, and there's an app called Soul's Journey that has all the information, because it's on YouTube. It's just a little bit more scattered on YouTube. It teaches you how to work with energy, how to heal meridians, like your blood, your cells, your bones, like all that different stuff. It teaches you how to connect with your guides, how to be comfortable with having out of body experiences, how to manifest, how to release trauma. And it's funny because the dude who does it, like the audio is very casual, like one of those 1950s. "And now we're gonna go to the 10th state and we're gonna talk to your guides. And now there's 5 different messages that you'll get from your guides. Here we go." And I'm like, okay, casual. That you will actually, like, I was listening to it and I was actually feeling like I was traveling. And then this is where it gets really like different. I started getting messages. I started talking with my guides and with like higher beings, and they started showing me who I am and like how old I am. That's why when people ask me, "How old are you?" I have to know. I'm 5. I'm 5. Because when I was 5, like, what's an opinion? I didn't know about that. However, if you really want to know, I'm at least 3,000 years old. I just moisturize. You know what I'm saying? And I go way back. I go way back. When I was 5 years old, I actually told my mom, I pulled my thumb out of my mouth and I said, "Hey mom, do you want to know how the universe was created?"
When you're 5.
5. And my mom says, "Okay, honey, sure." Like, like humor me.
Yeah.
And I said, "God and Goddess were dancing, and they danced in the stars, and they danced in the planets, and they danced in the love." And I put my thumb back in my mouth and I hit the road. So I knew, like I was tuned in, that I got certain understandings, where I'm able to work with energy now. It also teaches you how to protect your energy, which is everything right now, because people's negative thoughts and their negative energy can really, really get attached to you. So it's different, man. But again, it's from our government. For those people like, "Oh my God, don't you think that it's weird?" I'm like, why do you think that they constantly tell us that we're crazy and that's dumb and that's evil?
Yeah.
They're gaslighting us because they want for us to think that that's crazy, and blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus is gonna strike us with lightning. Like, no, like we're different, bro. Like we're not who we are. Like
Exactly.
we're like what they're discovering now in science is like
been
there's stuff
around.
within our DNA that they can't even explain. It's not from planet Earth.
Yeah. Like for example, Nikola Tesla, he figured out how to spread energy without wires, like just through the ground.
Yep.
And then they wanted to stop that because they want to capitalize on it.
Right.
So I believe Edison, he took that idea and they patented it. And so now there's a bunch of wires just so no one can have free electricity.
Right.
And then I believe like the supposedly like the pyramids, like all the pyramids, they're all connected and they all spread, like you can communicate across the world with those pyramids.
Really?
Wait, hold on. The pyramids, there are certain pyramids, and you can look this up online. The pyramids are shaped in a way that is the exact same shape of a computer chip.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's electricity
Literally.
and there's healing properties. So like if you have a garden, actually, like if you have plants, and this is another thing I'm manifesting for when I have my home is that you can put like copper, you can create, like you can go to Home Depot and get just like copper wires or whatever, and put pyramid shaped like wires over your food, and the food will actually taste better and will be healthier for you. You can put that around your water. Like I have a friend in LA. If you go to Air One, the store Air One, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, Starfire water He has a company called Starfire Water, and he has stuff like that where it's off the grid type stuff where you will literally like he'll have you drink the water and then he'll spin a pyramid around it and you'll drink it and then the water will like taste sweet and it will like the texture of it is
Yeah.
different. So you know we're that's what I'm saying, like it's exciting. That's the world we're going into where this stuff used to be crazy, but it's all it's documented and it's proven. Like
Yeah.
go onto YouTube and type in water memory documentary, and you will see the dude who discovered the AIDS virus. He takes a sound recording of AIDS. I'm getting chills. Sound recording of AIDS, sends that off to a lab thousands of miles away, and says, "Press play." Like this dude's 80 years old. He's lost his mind. They press play, and they recreate the entire AIDS virus just off of that MP3.
What
And they're
the
saying you
hell?
can do the same thing with cures, with healing too.
Sheesh.
There's so much that's been hidden from
Yeah.
us that they
Word.
don't want us to know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fucking insane. Well, going back to the psychedelics and what is an ego death? What is that?
I would just say in simple terms that like we have all these ideas and all these constructs of who we are that have been learned, right? Like mom tells us to be this way, dad tells us to be this way. If dad or mom passes away, if there's divorce, then we look at ourselves this way and that way. We grew up in the environments that we grew up in. Society tells us to be this way and that way. And one day you start to realize this isn't who I am,
Mhm.
right? And you start to be like, oh, I'm different than people. I'm different than my family, right? Like a lot of times, the people that are the black sheep are actually in that lineage to heal that generational trauma.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, I
know.
love that. I have
know.
never heard that
That's actually really
before.
dope. I like
Yep,
that.
yep. I'm telling you, that's why we're truth seekers, because it all makes sense, and now we're not crazy anymore.
Yeah, and you know it's crazy. Like they frown upon the black sheep. Like you don't want to be the black
Right,
sheep.
right,
Yeah.
They
right,
just to keep you controlled and everything, but you want to be the black sheep.
right.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
I've always told my mom that. I was like, Mom, like I feel like me and my brother, like we're just like we're the black sheep of the family. Like even going to parties and like it's family parties, being around family. Like I feel like me and my brother just like always like stood out. But I love that. I love
yep.
that
So
you said that.
that's where for me right now, I have a lot of stuff within everything, like astrologically, all different religious and spiritual versions of like planets, astrology, whatever, that I have tons of patience within me. So like now is a really good time for people that are used to hustling and hustling and hustling to really slow down and look at your life differently, to understand that like if things aren't feeling good, if you get around people, for example, people tell me this, people don't listen to themselves. Yo, listen to yourself when you talk, listen to what you say. So if you get around other people and you're like, yeah, I went to this dude's house and I felt tired, like don't kick it with that person. Like their energy is different. Like
Yeah.
you're an empath. Like you feel other people's stuff. Like that's where it's ego death is just saying like I don't fall for this. Like I realized, bro, like recently, like 3 months ago, I looked at all my different circumstances when I was teased, when I was bullied, when I was put down, when we moved from the hood to the nice part of town and got around all these people who look like me, who don't like know their roots and just hate the fact that other people know how to express themselves more and know their roots more. And I just look back at all these different circumstances, the relationship that I was in where I had to put on the smiley face, even though like I did not want to be around, I did not want to be alive, right? And I realized I've always known what I was doing. I always knew what I was doing. I was just insecure, right? And so that's what the ego death was for me, of like, I surrender all of these people's beliefs. If you want to take whatever you want to take away from me, I'm still going to win. Do whatever you need to do. Keep your anger to yourself. I'm not your bad day, okay? And I'm going to choose happiness, like how when I was 5, right? Like, and I want to be like my grandmother when she was 96. She had every reason to complain, and everywhere she went, like she was all smiles, and everybody smiled when they were around her. You know, so it's really about saying like I'm on my pursuit of happiness. You know, that I'm going to make choices for myself, and I'm going to get truth when I choose happiness for myself. And again, if people don't like it, that's because they don't know how to be as fully expressed as who you are. They don't know how to express yourself the way that you do. And they resent that part of themselves because they don't know how to go to that place, because they were taught that's wrong when you show who you truly are. So that's where we don't take that personal. We have compassion for people.
Okay, that's great. No, I love that. Yeah, because always wondered what an ego death is, so that for sure gets it. How do you when do you is there like a certain moment where you're like, all right, this is like my ego death here? Is there like a certain moment, or is it kind of like a transition you just feel like
I think
over
it
time?
happens. Like you hit rock bottom, and you're healing, but I think it happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least for me, it
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
I
And
would
this was
agree with that.
recently too.
Yeah.
So what is like a so it's for, oh, it's like a rock bottom type thing, huh?
Yeah, it feels like so it mostly happens when you are messing with psychedelics,
Mhm.
but I think it could just happen in someone's journey. You completely lose, we all have ego. We all have some sort of ego, but you completely lose that sense of wanting for other people to view you a certain way. And you put that aside. Like you put that aside of where you don't care how people view
Ah,
you. You're gonna live your truth, just everything materialistically,
mhm.
you're putting that aside and you're being who you are.
I got an interesting story that I don't always tell people. However, it ties into this. So, when you grow up without a father, when you're a young man, like there's a lot of different statistics that can happen where you're angry. You look for that male energy within like more aggressive personalities, and you're more likely to get incarcerated. And that happened to me. And I hit the rock bottom of rock bottoms. And every single day when I was there, I was praying because I was in the name of the jail was Santa Rita, and I wrote to my mom and I'm like, who's Saint Rita? Like, who's Santa Rita? And she sent me this letter, and it was a saint based off of like desperate times and like abuse and stuff like that. And so I started every single day at the same time saying a similar prayer, just talking to God. And I had a dream where I saw myself as a child. I had the little like overalls on and everything, and he looked at me, and he said, where have you been? I've been waiting for you." And then I saw a flash of white light, like a brilliant, like everything was just white. And then I understood that that was the light of God,
Mhm.
and that was when I realized my journey started. That for me was the beginning of
Yeah.
my ego death, where I was like, I've been angry.
Yeah.
Like I've just had so much anger inside, and so much resentment, and so much just like depression and all this other stuff, that it was like, you're better than this. Like, snap out of it. Like, remember who you are. Like, no, like, reclaim your innocence. Like,
Mhm.
reclaim your childhood. Tell yourself a different story. And that's what it was for me. Of like, I think ego death is just like, enough, enough, enough,
Ah,
Yeah.
enough.
that's okay. I felt like I felt something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember back in the day I used to be very materialistic, and I had like very like I had this image, I guess like this image of like, oh, I got a lot of money, so I have to impress a bunch of people. And like I think it was like last year, I was like, bro, like I'm done. Like I don't want to live with like this anymore. I don't want
Yep.
to be impressing people. I just want to be who I am.
Yep.
So I think that might have been my ego death, because now honestly I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I don't care about like materialistic or impressing people with money or stuff like that. Sick,
That's the
dang.
best.
Y'all making me think.
That's good. That's good, because then like when you get curious about like why you just go to the places you go, like
Yeah.
everything opens up. Like, there's so many different stories. Like, a,
Mhm.
a quick thing is like, do you remember the movie Crash?
Yes, I love
Okay.
that movie.
Okay. So I got invited. Doesn't matter if you don't. So I got invited to go to this movie, and they invited me like super early,
Mhm.
right? And I went to the movie theater, and I was watching the end of the movie. And from me, without any kind of context, it was almost funny to me. Like, I was almost laughing because it was just like running in slow motion, and it just struck me as funny.
Mhm.
I watched the whole entire movie again from the beginning, and I was almost in tears right then. So who's right and who's wrong? It's
Ah,
perspective.
I love the way you worded that. Have you seen that
yeah.
movie?
Not having.
Okay.
It's pretty dope.
Okay,
There's
yeah, you should
there's
watch
different
it.
stories. There's different stories that are going on all at the same time. And that's the thing. That's why I'm saying, like, we don't realize, like, we're telling ourselves a story. I went to
Mhm.
this program, and I got on stage, and I was like, I'm gonna tell people everything about me. These people are never gonna see me again. I'm just gonna go all the way raw.
Yeah.
And the woman who was running the seminar said, it's a very sad story. However, it's just a story. And I was mad, like, how dare you tell me I'm not a victim, right? And then I got it, and I realized, that's when I started realizing, oh, look at me just hanging out with all these victims, constantly drama, chaos, like fear, fear.
Projecting. They're
Yeah.
projecting.
Right. Oh, projection is such an interesting concept. So yeah, like that kind of stuff of like, that's another gem that I do throughout my day. If I ever get insecure, I ever get angry, what story am I telling myself right now? And then you can be like, oh, I can press pause on this movie and
Yeah.
project a different movie and understand in the middle of the movie there are uncertain times. However, in the end, we know that, you know, the good guys win, the whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then that way we can have more peace within our journey instead of thinking like, I should have all this stuff and because I don't have all that stuff, like I'm a failure. Like, no.
Yeah. That's wild. I want to talk about I know we've kind of been touching it, but like I want to talk about manifestation. And I feel there's a bunch of different practices for manifestation, right?
Yeah.
Or is like there's one. Well, what's your favorite practice in manifestation? The one that you think works the best for you?
I actually, every time that I stream live, I do a manifestation for everybody, and it's amazing. You get anywhere from like 100 to like the most I've had so far is 1,500 people. And for me, within manifestation, it's similar to hypnosis. Like you have to actually be in that moment. You have to actually. You're not like hoping for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
like you know
it already exists.
Yeah,
exactly.
It already
That's the
exists.
key.
So I'm
Yeah.
seeing myself for my dream home. I'm walking into the real estate agency. I see that there's hardwood floors. I'm like, yo, this European dude has way too much cologne on. And I'm like, that's all good though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm not even thinking about that. Like I'm just have the understanding of I'm not even thinking about the total cost of this place. I'm so grateful. I know that I've been working diligently and it feels good. Like and then I see my home and I see the garden. I see myself drinking like clean water, feeling good. I see myself having a family. I see all of that and I feel how good it feels. So for me, manifestation is walking into that like it already exists. Study Jim Carrey talking about manifestation because he's a genius when he talks about it. That it's that, and it's also of a big part of manifestation is, and some people are not ready to let this go, is that you have to really be grateful for every single thing that you have.
Oh, yeah.
You have to really put love into what you have.
Gratitude.
When my life got turned upside down, when I was living in New York and my relationship and everything got taken away, I had a job that was so humiliating, but I asked for a job and I got it. My friend got me a job because I was taking care of all these people and everything got wiped away. And I had a week to find a place to live, and I moved to a rough part of town, but I asked for God for shelter. I got shelter. I'm grateful. I asked for a job. I got it. I was working at a nightclub as a bathroom attendant. And instead of being the victim and being angry and be like, I should be here and be there, I was like, all right, that's it. This is because I kept on accepting this other person's inappropriate, toxic, whatever behavior. Now I know what I'm doing. And from that, being consistent within that, never being frustrated if I made $300 or $1,000 one day, and if I made $3 the next, I'm still grateful because everything's leading me to where I'm going. From that, one day somebody walked into the bathroom, heard me having a conversation where my energy was so amazing, told me he was working with Will Smith, took down his information, sent them a screen recording of a song called Manifest, releasing soon. And from that, I got a management deal from people that are working with Eminem, working with 50, they were working with Pop Smoke, RIP, they were working with amazing people, more so. They're my people. They're good. They're nice. They're ethical. They get how this industry is and they want to see good people win and they're humanitarian. So for me, it's more so of not just saying, I want a mansion. I want to have nice things. It's more so of saying, I'm already in this. I am true to who I am. I'm doing it for a greater good, not just to show, and screw you, mom, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like from a real place. And also in your day-to-day life, understanding if you ask for something, everything might get taken away. Some people might go away. Some things might change that might feel uncomfortable. So you have to let go of that like mildewed old blanket or whatever, or that home that's like broken and say, all right, this is awkward. This is weird. This is uncomfortable for me. However, I know it's there. I see it.
You know, it's wild that you said like manifestation also comes with like something being taken away. The day we hit 10,000 followers is the day my dog passed away.
Wow.
Yes.
The what? Oh my God, I just noticed. I'm so
Yeah. No, that's
Oh
cool.
sorry.
man.
I always felt like there's some like deeper connection there. I was like, that's crazy how like something I've always wanted and then something
Yeah.
I've always loved just kind of like
Yeah.
Oh,
R.I.P.
that's just
to
like
the homie.
the balance of life, right?
yeah.
It's crazy
Yeah.
how it
Yep.
works.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy. What's your like favorite manifestation like exercise?
Um, I noticed for me, it was the little things. It would be like the little conversations I would have with people. I'm not gonna say a lie, but I will, like you said, embody that.
Mm,
Yep.
Like I embody what I want. Same with like the energy that I'm trying to put out into this world and the love. Like I'm going to be everything that I want to vision, that I want to see. So even just like in the littlest conversations of talking to people and them, I don't know. It's just like it's the little things
it's
for
like the
me.
little
Like,
words.
oh yeah, because I don't want to say it's lying, because I don't. I will never say that like I have something that I don't have.
No, you're speaking into existence. You're
Yeah.
speaking into
Yeah,
existence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I know for a fact that I was gonna get like a job, and I knew like it's there.
Hmm.
Yes, it
Yep.
can be taken away, and I would take my L with that, but I have such a high confidence in knowing what I do and where my energy gets me, that I embody that. I
Yeah.
say
That
that.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah. And
Yep.
that has helped me so much. I also stopped just speaking negative about myself like
Hmm.
completely. Someone actually told me that. They were like, "Have you noticed that I don't say anything negative about myself?" And I was like, "Oh my God, you're right." He was like, "So stop doing that." So
Yes.
even when you don't realize it, like, "Oh, sorry, I'm so clumsy." Like, don't say that.
Right.
Like shift it, say something completely positive, and that alone is like manifesting everything that
Yeah.
you want it to be.
That's next level. Language is powerful. We
Yeah.
like, for example, if you say maybe, if you say kind of, if you say I don't know, if you say I'm trying, those all imply that you don't know what you're doing
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
really, really, really do. And in that same conversation, people are manifesting negativity and fear. Like, again, to mention Shaman Durek, I like his take on ego, because people say, "Oh my God, you have such an ego." Like your ego, from his conversation, from shamanism, we are saying, "Oh, I can't do this. It's so hard." That your ego goes, "Well, I didn't want to give you more difficulty. However, you just keep on speaking
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
existence. So here's more difficulty. There you go."
Yeah.
Right? So in
Yeah.
that same way, people don't realize like how powerful they are, because they've just been manifesting, "I can't do it. I need somebody else to help me. I'm not good enough. I'm not
Hmm.
worthy. I'm unloved. I'm unwanted." Like, stop
Yeah.
and wake up with the blank canvas, and just understand. Like, you, for example, like if I talk to family, they say, "How are you doing?" I say, "Well, every day I'm getting better," because they want to know all the details so they
No.
can turn around and
Yeah.
use that as a tactic.
Yeah.
Like, no, 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 you don't get access. You get
Mm.
the sample membership, okay? Because
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
what happens when you step into my
Oh,
blessings.
for sure.
So right,
Yeah.
right. So I say, "Oh, I'm getting healthier. Oh, I'm good." I speak into existence moving forward. I don't
Mm.
do that like, "Oh, I don't know, whatever, whatever, whatever." We need to play bigger and really, really step into who we are.
Yeah.
Because you can manifest negative things in your life
Oh, for
too.
sure.
Like you don't even realize it. If you have this fear, and I was doing this with myself, if you wake up with this fear and you're constantly you are since you're thinking it, you're putting that energy out there. So you're aligning yourself with those fears and that negativity, and it will come
Yep.
to you.
Ooh, I got a good one too.
Mm.
Another thing that I realized was, and this was actually when I was living in Los Angeles, I realized I was going to the grocery store and I was like, I think sometimes like I'm just rolling the dice when I go out into the world to meet people. This was actually shortly after I did ayahuasca.
Uh,
And I've realized, I was like, I need to get myself into a good headspace, because my opportunities are walking right by me because I'm in my head.
Wow.
That higher vibrational person's like, "Oh, he's got abandonment issues. He's not doing the work. All right,
yeah.
cool. See you
Yeah.
later." Like, not emotional,
Mm.
vibration and frequency. So within that same realm of manifestation is, before you hop on the call, before you get on a Zoom, before you go on live, before you get around other people, like I said earlier, with the childhood trauma, fill yourself up with
Yeah.
those memories, with those feelings. Like, hold that feeling, feel how good that feels. Do breath work, do tapping, do meditation, do whatever you need to do, power posing, like anything to get yourself into that higher vibrational space,
Yeah.
instead of thinking about like, oh, my age or my bank account or my obligations or my priorities.
Yeah, yeah.
In the same way, you need to recharge your battery, charge your battery up, because we are electricity. And I'm telling you, people will just be like, yeah, something, I don't know, just drawn to you. I don't know what it
Yeah.
was. I just felt the connection.
You know
That's a big way to
how
manifest.
you say like we're electricity and we have to recharge. It's crazy how, because like the moon controls the ocean, right?
Right.
And we're like 70% water.
Yep.
So the moon for sure has a huge effect on us.
Yes.
So it's crazy, and that's what I use for manifestation. I use the moon. I use the moon like a mirror. So like when it's like a full moon, like I'm outside late at night and I'm looking at the mirror, and like I'm visualizing myself, like my future self, like on a balcony in a mansion, looking at the
fire.
mirror. So
Yeah.
we're both looking at the mirror at the same time, but just at this moment, I'm here, and in that moment, he's in that mansion on that
dope.
balcony.
That's
Love
dope.
that.
So I think
That's
that's
dope.
my favorite.
Yeah, it's like we can. It's really about like tricking out the subconscious mind,
Yeah.
and again, if you go to a space of, and that's what happened to me when I was in the Hidden Hills, where I was like, this is really weird that I'm insecure, and this is everything that I've ever wanted. If you set intentions to say you want abundance, you want money, you want love, you want marriage, you want family, whatever your intention is, if in any way, shape, or form it feels weird, or that little mind goes, oh, blah, 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 you're not worthy of that, that's where you do the work. And for me, where I go to is, I will go back to that mind where it goes, oh, you're not worthy of having this. And I go, oh, yeah. And then I ask that brain, that little automated program, or whatever, a question to say, then why is it that I
you're
am
here.
blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, that I'm doing this thing? And then I visualize other people looking at me like, oh my God, Dolores, do you see that young gentleman? He is killing it right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And doing stuff like that tricks the brain to understand that we are as good as a company that we keep, and we do deserve this, because we need to unlearn a lot of stuff that we
Yeah.
learned growing up, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100%. I have this one's like a little funny topic. It also has to do with manifestation. But I want to see what you think, because there's this thing called a sex manifestation. Have you heard of anything like that?
No.
Because you know when it's a bunch of like, in manifestation takes a lot of energy, like it takes a lot of like concentration.
Yes.
So when you're like having sex and you're about to climax, if you switch that,
I
you
did
switch
hear
that-
about this. I did recently.
What?
I heard about
So like
that.
when you're
Yup.
about to climax, you switch your focus to what you really want.
Oh, I've done that before.
Yeah, I've done that too.
I've done that
and I feel like it works. I feel like that one works crazy. But I don't
Yeah.
know if that deals with like sex magic, or if that's, I don't even know if like magic and spirituality kind of like intertwine or something.
Oh
but
yeah, definitely.
That's that chi in Chinese philosophy, or whatever. They talk about that, like chi or whatever. The like you know, that you shouldn't like play with yourself too much, because that you can harness that energy. You know, that there's power within that you know, you want to be mindful of also like who you connect with, because that
Absolutely.
energy is, you know.
it gets like, yeah, it gets transferred.
Transferring.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
Soul ties. I believe
Oh.
in soul ties so much, and I think you have to be careful who you have a soul tie with. Who you
Yes.
even, you know, if it's just being next to someone and that's an energy exchange, just imagine, you know, like if it's something
Yep.
physical,
More intimate.
yeah,
Yep.
that can be scary.
Sheesh, I didn't think about. I never thought about like who you like hook up with as like something that can.
That can be a really like
Affect you.
dark person that has
Yeah.
their demons, and that's transferring onto you. And I really think a lot of my past had to do with that. Like I was messing with some pretty like dark, miserable men.
Mhm.
I think it wore off on me.
Yeah. No, that's real, man. Like I actually met somebody, one of my moderators on my TikTok, like her thing is like medium.christine, that she's an intuitive and she protects me, and she actually has done work on people that I know, that she was like, yeah, like you got something attached to you, and people don't realize like that because it's not really spoken about, that I'm just gonna go simple in this because I don't like to give it too much attention. But if you feel like you have a lot of anger, like if you feel like just just really like you go to this place of anger very easily, that's where you want to connect with like mediums and healers and shamans and stuff like that, because it doesn't matter how much you're manifesting if or setting an intention for happiness, whatever. If you have somebody who did some weird stuff, like I've had people on my, because I'm in the spiritual community, people try to do weird stuff to me, and you know, like it's real because I'm so energy sensitive to people. Like immediately when I meet them, I'm like, all right, cool, these are my people, or they're not, or they're weird or whatever. So I know that it's a different conversation. It's real though. And when you get those healings and when you kick it with shamans and when you kick it with healers, you're like, oh, I feel, that's for me what started my journey. Was I was like, oh, I feel amazing. I want more. I want more. Yeah.
Sheesh, no, I love that.
There's sorry, were you saying
No,
something?
go for it.
There's one topic that I do want to talk about that I love talking about. It's reincarnation. So I know I've heard you mention it a couple times that you've been here for a long time. And I just want to say, so have I. Okay, I feel so connected to the whole Egyptian era. I know that I have been here for so long. It's crazy because even going back to my childhood, I was always like that little girl that was just obsessed with weird things.
Yes.
Like I Love Lucy and like Bobby Brown, and like, you know, I have such an old soul, and it's so funny connecting with people that are much older than me, and then they're like so surprised. But yeah, do you guys feel like you've been here for a long time,
I've not had that feeling. I'm trying to think
or
of
a
that right
past
now.
life or anything?
I'm not I don't think I've felt that. Maybe I haven't even thought of it. So I probably haven't even like gone deep with it, but I don't feel like I've thought of that.
I definitely have reincarnation stories. My mom got told that, and I've gotten this from other people who do readings. I've had a lot of lifetimes from a place of royalty or connected to royalty or connected to money and power. And the reason why I'm in this lifetime now is to clean up that stuff and to bring in more consciousness. So reincarnation helps us understand pieces that are difficult to understand three-dimensionally. Why did I grow? Like, why in the world did I grow up? I had a lesbian mom, I had a gay father, and I'm in the hood. Like, that's like, I don't know what kind of reality show or whatever that is, but like, it's different.
Yeah.
You know, and then, and from all these different pieces, I can connect with anybody, right? So I've had a lot of lifetimes coming from that place of power, and now I'm on this other side. So when I was younger, when I was like a kid, I would tell my mom, I hate it here. I want to go back to heaven. Because I feel like my spiritual attorney didn't read like the whole details of everything. And I'm like, wait, I need to renegotiate. So where are the people when I'm bored that dance and play the instruments? Like I'm used to being entertained, you know, that like, what do you mean I have to clean up my room? Like I used to have somebody who took care of that for me. That was my energy when I was a kid, you know? And also what's really interesting is since I've been coaching people, I have met people that I have met before. There's this kid named Austin, and he was talking with me, and in the middle of the conversation, I look at him and I'm like, I've met you before. And he was like, well, I didn't want to say anything, but I think I have too. And right before I was going to say it, because I looked at him almost like we were soldiers or warriors, like way back in the day, he said, I think we were warriors.
Oh, shit.
So I have been meeting people, and I have somebody who is a legit, like valid, intuitive, medium healer, where I've asked her about different people, and there are many different people who I have been meeting, like talking to, coaching, connecting with off of TikTok that I have met before in other lifetimes. And the conversations and the places we go to are so fascinating. So for those of you that are skeptics, go onto TikTok, look up reincarnation, listen to what kids are saying. Hey, mommy, remember when we signed up, when we went to classes, we went to school for this, mommy, remember?
Talking
Mom's
about
like,
a fighter, they're like 5 years old, talking about fighter pilots and stuff.
right,
Yeah.
yes. So that's my conversation with the old 60-year-old man who lives in the woods, who's never left outside of his state. He's like, you're evil and God's coming for you. And I'm like, yeah, cool story. I thought that 20 lifetimes ago. I learned some things along the way. That you will see, to your point, you will see people who are skeptics, who don't believe in reincarnation, who have kids, like that one, like the fighter pilot or whatever, that they didn't even believe in that stuff. And he
Yeah.
knows all the names, he knows
Yeah.
the places, and everything
The
checks out.
controls.
So that's
It's
a
crazy.
valid thing. So this is one of my bigger missions. Us bringing this, because in other parts of the world, reincarnation is like a normal
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
Like,
normal thing.
of course you
Yeah.
reincarnate. Like, what are you talking about?
Hinduism,
Right,
Buddhism.
right. So when we bring reincarnation into the mainstream, this automatically ends homophobia, racism, bigotry, all hateful forms of that humanity has had for centuries. Because the fascinating thing about reincarnation is, for example, this is where Planet Earth is very, it's a comedy skit. That for the person who's like, I have to eat vegan, I have to eat like, I have to be like a breatharian, I have to eat like raw foods all the time. Maybe in your last lifetime you were just killing animals and just I'm gonna have a hamburger for breakfast and I'm just like meat, cruel, blah 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 blah. Right? That's connected. I know somebody whose sister never has wanted children, never wanted to have a family, and she went to somebody and they said, you were cruel to your kids in your last lifetime, so you're never going to have kids. In every single religion, like Egypt, they get the review. That's their belief. They're like, when you cross over, you get the review.
Yeah, they literally you spend your whole entire life prepping for the afterlife. It's this whole ceremony. It's insane. I really think that the way you live your lifetime now is a byproduct of your next life.
Yeah.
And everything that you struggle with now are the lessons that you had to learn in a past life.
Yep. So I'm going to put this out there. When I was doing the gateway process, I had a conversation with my guides that told me that I go back and I know, and people don't know her name, go do your research. I go back to Goddess Sophia, which is like the original what God is. Like she is goddess, like the original one. And I'm not from here. I'm from Andromeda. And if you look up Andromeda and if you look up people who are from Andromeda, it's a whole thing. They all look very similar, right? That like I got knowings. I channeled certain things to say like where I come from, that like I can work with energy, that there's like telepathy and stuff like that. Stuff that on here like sounds like you're absolutely and totally out of your mind. However, again, go onto TikTok, go into spiritual TikTok, and there's thousands of people that are all saying the same things, right? And I know that because the whole concept of being a human to me has never made any sense. Of like, how is every single person on planet Earth thinking you should think my way because then you'd be happy?
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to accept the reality that there are other realities besides yours.
Right, exactly. So reincarnation is a documented thing. And here's another fascinating thing. If you have family, if you have relationships, if you have friendships where you love them, however, you're like, you might have met them before. And here's another thing to really take responsibility. You might have been the bad guy.
Oh, shit.
Wow. There's your karma.
Yeah, there's the karma.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, like you killed this person in the 1300s. So now that's your mom, or now that's your wife, or now that's your husband, or now that's your kid. My cousin told me a story that somebody she knows, he grew up with, and he was in a taxi with his dad, and there was a car. The taxi got into an accident, and so that guy grew up. Dad died. That guy grew up, and he had kids, and he was in a taxi, and his son looked over at him and said, "Hey, do you remember when I was the dad and you were the son?"
Oh, damn.
That was the dad. The son was the dad.
Yeah. Yep. So you, again, if you go onto TikTok, look at people, they're talking about this. They're like, I met her before. I know her. So this is something from birth until 7. We're connected with this. And this is if you are depressed right now, if you feel like your life doesn't make sense, here's an honorable way to look at what you're going through. And this is what I'm going to tell my kids when the time comes. From birth until 7, you are basically in a trance. You're connected.
I've always felt like that. Oh my God.
Yeah. So you're connected. You have your inner knowing, you know what you know, and that's it. Then somewhere around that time, like until like 12 or something happens, and then you tell yourself a story. And then you become the casting director where you bring in all of the people to validate that your story is this way. And they bring their stories in to validate that it's that way. And if you so choose, you can tell yourself a different story.
That's so wild because we really are the casting director of our own lives. and we can cast who we want in our lives. Jeez, that's dope.
That's why being a
Yeah.
truth seeker is amazing because, like, for example, in 2016, when I was an Uber driver, this woman's in my car, a Mercedes changes lanes, and she's like, "Oh, of course a Mercedes was." I know that she has limiting beliefs around money. I'm like, no, a beat up Honda Civic or like a Toyota Corolla or like a Camry would do that. Like
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
mind, you know what I'm saying? So that's where we have so many beliefs from so many different things. And here's another one. There's another example of reincarnation where this kid knew all the details and he had a birthmark. And they went to the place where
photos
he
and
where
stuff.
he grew up, where he said that he grew up in, talked to all the villagers, all the names, all the stories checked out. Went to this woman, he's like, "This is where I live, this is my home." Talks to the woman, she's like, "This was in fact the name of my husband," and he got stabbed in the neck, right where the
The
birthmark
birthmark is
was.
that? Crazy.
It's deep, bro.
Do you-
It's deep.
Do you think everyone's reincarnated, or can there be
No.
like someone that like let's say because I felt like I haven't been reincarnated, so maybe like when I die or something, someone else is reincarnated as me.
No, I think you can tell when there are baby souls, and it's like, okay, you will be back here, and you will have a bunch of
Baby
lessons to
souls.
read.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're my friend, so I know you. I think you have, because I look at baby souls. They live their whole lives very like like dark, cold, and
Here's a really, really funny, ironic part about planet Earth.
Uh,
So the younger souls, two different choices. Shiny, 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 gold, 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 jewels, 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 money, 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 superficial, superficial, or fear, 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 fear.
mhm.
And that's what's ironic, because the people that are in the positions of power are younger. It's not to say that you have to struggle to be an old soul, because
Yeah.
grandpa's about to be balling. I'm manifesting machine over here, okay? It's just more so of you lead with that. You lead with that, like, I just want the shiny things. I just want the beautiful stuff. I just want the
Yeah.
beautiful stuff. You can have that and still be spiritually evolved.
Mhm.
It's just where your mind goes to and what your intention is with that. So that's the ironic thing. And that's what's fascinating when you look in society right now, why I started doing this, because I'm like, go onto Facebook and look at all these grandmas and grandpas that can't critically think, that are mad at politics and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's why they
Yeah.
say we're children of God, because everybody's like, I know you should think my way,
Yeah.
then you'd be happy because I'd be in control. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Versus being like, this person's belief systems are valid. Okay. And planet Earth is not meant to be your like Venice Beach, like my name is Sage Healing Wolf and we're all gonna hang out at Whole Foods and
Yeah.
and just like anything else is lower vibration. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Okay. To each their own. It's more so of like, we are storytellers. We're in an experience together. We're learning different things,
connected.
and it's all connected. And that's another beautiful thing about like ayahuasca and plant ceremonies and stuff like that, is that you see that of like, we truly are connected. And the more that you acknowledge that, we do this because we want peace in our lives right now, because we know this stuff doesn't make sense. Why do I keep on making these choices? Why am I fascinated by this thing? Why does my mind go to this way? So instead of you being mad or frustrated that you're going through these situations, you're like, oh, this is karma. I'm learning something. So
Yeah.
that's why you are careful to how you treat people in this lifetime, because it carries on in the next time.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah, 100%. And I
Enjoy,
think-
kids.
yeah, I think we can end off with that message. So be great, be a good person, be a kind person.
Word.
I would like to appreciate. I appreciate you guys' time for coming.
Thank you.
It was a great conversation. I've never actually had these types of conversations with anyone. It just kind of just stays in my head. So it's really dope to like hear you guys and then just go back and forth with you guys. So it was dope.
Thank you.
Any last things you want to tell the people before we sign out?
Yes, be kind to yourself. Be extra kind to other people. We're all doing the best we can. Nobody on planet Earth knows what they're doing. So stop judging yourself and thinking that you should be this way and that way. Okay, we're all a hot mess to a certain degree. So get in your hot mess, get into the funk and get funky. And, just keep trusting your process. Don't compare yourself. Don't look for validation outside of yourself, and stop having expectations for everybody to think the way that you think. Okay, we're all doing the best we can. Just keep loving yourself. You got this. You know what you're doing. You always have. Trust yourself more. You're the tiger. Rawr.
And where can they find you? What are your social medias?
Yeah, so on TikTok, it's Nicky Scorpio. On Instagram, it is the Nicky Scorpio Show. Also on YouTube, the Nicky Scorpio Show. And don't hit me up on Facebook because I just really, really don't kick it over there because everybody's angry.
Edinson, thank you. Appreciate your time. Any last things you want to tell the
Yes.
people?
you know, I took this as a chance to really show people a different side of me than what I normally portray. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening. And this is the stuff that truly matters, okay? Like this is the stuff that's going to make a difference, that's going to change the world. Do not get distracted by all this artificial materialistic things that at the end of the day like don't really matter. And yeah, show my friend Nikki some love. And yeah, we'll see you guys
100%.
soon.
Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram. That's my thing, you know, Cindy M, 2 Y's, 2 M's.
And my name is Saul Gomez. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you. Make sure you check out Nikki. Make sure to check out Sin. It was a great conversation. I'd like to thank you guys again.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
peace out, everyone.
Peace.